Breaking news. In an unprecedented turn of events, Nepal's Prime Minister, KP Oli, resigned yesterday after the most deadly youth protests in the country's modern history. At least 22 people have been killed and hundreds wounded in clashes that started as social media protests but exploded into a full-scale Gen Z revolution. Parliament buildings are literally on fire, the airport is shut down, and the army has taken control of the capital. This is the story of how Nepal's youth just changed everything. The spark that ignited everything, the social media ban that broke the camel's back. On September 4th, 2025, Nepal's government made a catastrophic decision. They banned 26 major social media platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, WhatsApp, and X. The official reason? These platforms failed to register with the government under new regulations. But here's what really happened. For weeks, a viral trend called Nepo Kids had been exploding across TikTok and Reddit, exposing the lavish lifestyles of politicians' children. Videos showed diplomats' kids living luxuriously abroad, politicians' offspring driving expensive cars, and children of ministers enjoying foreign educations, all funded by taxpayers in a country where the average annual income is just $1,400. The Nepo Kids phenomenon. Videos with messages like, "I have to work day and night because I have to pay taxes for the fun of the leader's children," became viral. This wasn't just entertainment. It was a digital uprising against corruption and inherited privilege. The government's response? Shut it all down. The explosion Monday, September 8th, the day everything changed. At 9 a.m. on Monday, thousands of young people gathered at Maitighar Mandala in Kathmandu. What started as a peaceful protest organized by the NGO Hami Nepal quickly escalated when protesters attempted to enter the federal parliament building. The government's response was devastating. Police used tear gas, water cannons, rubber bullets, and live ammunition against crowds largely consisting of young people and children. The bloodiest day. At least 19 protesters were killed, and hundreds were injured when security forces fired live ammunition at youth demonstrators. 17 were killed in Kathmandu alone, with 2 more in the southeastern city of Itahari. Dr. Dipendra Pandey from the National Trauma Center reported that 10 people were in critical condition with gunshot wounds to the head and chest. The government's fatal mistake. Instead of de-escalating, authorities made things worse. Armed forces entered the civil service hospital near Parliament to capture protesters and shot tear gas, causing chaos in the medical facility. They conducted house-to-house searches for protesters. This was the moment that transformed a social media protest into a revolution. The deeper crisis, why Nepal's youth are so angry. This isn't just about social media. Nepal faces a youth crisis of massive proportions. 1. Unemployment crisis. Youth unemployment rate is 20.8% for ages 15 to 24. 32.6% of unemployed youth are not even pursuing education. 2. Mass migration. Over 741,000 Nepalis left the country in 2023-24 to find employment. About 7.5% of Nepal's entire population lives abroad. 33.1% of Nepal's GDP comes from remittances sent home by workers abroad. 3. Systemic corruption. 84% of Nepal's population believes corruption is a big problem according to Transparency International. Recent scandals include a 2017 Airbus deal that cost the country $10.4 million. The elite capture problem. As Professor Dipesh Karki explained, those who came into power have wielded their control over the resources and wealth of the nation, resulting in what we can dub as an elite capture. While young Nepalis struggle to find jobs and are forced to work abroad, politicians' children flaunt designer brands and luxury cars on social media. The revolution escalates Tuesday, September 9th. The government falls. Despite Prime Minister Oli's dismissive comments calling youth protesters incapable of independent thinking, the protests exploded on the second day. Protesters set fire to major government buildings, including part of Singha Darbar, the administrative headquarters, the Supreme Court building, the President's residence, and the Prime Minister's residence. The resignations begin. The dominoes fell quickly. Home Minister Ramesh Lekhak resigned Monday evening. Agriculture, Water and Health Ministers resigned Tuesday. Finally, Prime Minister Oli announced his resignation Tuesday, citing the extraordinary situation in the country. Army takes control. The Nepal Army announced it would assume command of nationwide security operations, enforcing curfews and calling for the return of weapons looted from security personnel. International shock and comparison regional pattern. This makes Nepal the third South Asian government in recent years to fall to youth-driven protests, following Sri Lanka in 2022 and Bangladesh in 2024. International response. United Nations, UN Human Rights expressed shock and urged a prompt investigation into the use of lethal force. United States strongly advised all US citizens to shelter in place. India expressed sadness over the loss of young lives and urged restraint. When resident coordinator Hana Singer Hamdi described the situation as so unlike Nepal, saying, lots of my staff here are crying. They haven't seen violence in their lifetime. What happens now? Tribhuvan International Airport remains closed until noon today. Nepal Stock Exchange suspended trading for 2 consecutive days. Army conducting security operations with 27 arrests for looting. Political uncertainty. As political analyst Binay Mishra explained, once the Prime Minister steps down, the President calls the Parliament to form the government. With no party having a clear majority, an interim government is likely. Remarkably, some Gen Z organizations may be involved in discussions over who could lead in the short term. The protesters' demands. The youth aren't satisfied with just Oli's resignation. Their demands include dissolution of parliament and new elections, independent anti-corruption commission, investigation into politicians' wealth sources, complete systemic change. As protest figure Sudan Gurung posted on Instagram, the Nepal government has fallen, the youth have won the protest. The future is ours. The bigger picture, digital democracy revolution. This represents something unprecedented. A generation that grew up with smartphones and social media refusing to accept traditional political corruption. Analysis shows Nepal has 14.3 million active social media users, almost half the country's population. The generation gap. Nepal's median age is 25, meaning a large part of the population is Gen Z, the age group that uses social media the most. This isn't just a protest, it's a generational changing of the guard. Economic transformation needed. The crisis exposes Nepal's fundamental economic problems. With 33% of GDP from remittances and 20% youth unemployment, the country needs structural transformation toward an employment-first model. The youth quake's legacy. What we're witnessing in Nepal is more than just protests. It's a youth quake that's reshaping South Asian politics. From Sri Lanka to Bangladesh to Nepal, young people are no longer accepting corrupt governance and economic exclusion. The question now isn't whether change will come to Nepal. The change has already happened. The question is whether the political establishment can adapt to a generation that refuses to be silenced, either online or offline. Key takeaways. 1. Digital activism can topple governments when it connects with real grievances. 2. Youth unemployment and corruption create explosive combinations. 3. Traditional politics must evolve or face revolution. 4. Social media bans often backfire spectacularly. 5. Economic inequality between elites and ordinary citizens has limits. The Nepal youth have sent a clear message. The future belongs to those willing to fight for it, and they won't be ignored anymore. What do you think about Nepal's youth revolution? Are we seeing the future of political change in South Asia? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more breaking news analysis. Share this video to spread awareness about what's happening in Nepal. This story deserves global attention. Next up, I'll be covering how this affects India-Nepal relations and what it means for the broader region. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss it.